Well, build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me bars, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I drown my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as a judge.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers. Matty, this is episode number 73. Like Sandy Toksvig, if everybody just raises their shoulders and hides their neck, like Shirley Neck. It's another one that couldn't wear a scarf. Sandy Toksvig. You need to be a certain age to remember number 73. Anyway, what the fuck am I talking about? Who have we got tonight? John, how are you doing?
I am really good. I know who Sandy Toksvig is, but you're going to have to elaborate on that reference because it's gone right over my head.
Number 73. Brian, do you remember number 73? It was like a kids' programme on Saturday mornings. I think it's like if you didn't watch Going Live and you turned over to ITV, number 73 was on there.
The furthest I can go back was Morag the Cow.
Was that a date you were on, Brian, or?
No, I'd be surprised if I could remember her name. Certainly the cow part.
Just the species.
A bit of bovine bothering on a Saturday, why not?
How are you doing tonight anyway, Brian?
Right, thanks. You?
Aye, same. Right, we've got a cup win to go over last night. So Hibs 4, Dundee 1. John, do you want to kick us off with your thoughts on that?
I got a message for a boy the day at work who I've not spoke to for a wee while because everyone's kind of varying degrees busy working from home and that. He's a Jambo and he said, looks like you sneaked a win last night. And I said, no, it was just a routine win. And he said, routine as in beating lower league opposition routine. And that I think that's the kind of banter that you miss at your work. And I was saying to him that these fixtures, like I feel like I've taken a wee bit of a dip of enthusiasm towards some fixtures recently because like the novelty of the football being back has worn off a wee bit for me because there's nobody to really take the piss out of, and there's nobody to take the piss out of you.
Are you saying you didn't want to talk about it then? Is that just to answer my question? You could have just said no, John.
No, like
I wouldn't have held it against you.
It was that. It was a routine win with a minor blip of a goal either side of Hibs goals.
So I got slaughtered a wee bit last night on Hibs on it, and then ended up. What I did is I turned into a dick for a while as well at full time. So apologies to anybody that I replied to after full time. Because at 1-0, I said I thought we looked comfortable and we just needed another goal or two for the scoreline to reflect it. And of course, no sooner have I posted that than Dundee get a spell of pressure and go and score, don't they? So then there's a few kind of snidey comments on there about comfortable this and comfortable that. And then so when it finished 4-1, I went and quote replied those ones and was like, "I very fucking comfortable 4-1, fucking easy." Anyway, right, aye. So what I'm saying is I should have been more grown up and no reacted like that. But it did feel good to win 4-1. One of the questions that I had on the back of it, one of the things I thought we should discuss was about Jack Ross's style of play, because it kind of feeds into that idea that we're comfortable in games but not killing teams off. And you could probably look at the last two defeats. So against Hearts, I thought we were comfortable, didn't they win it? And against Aberdeen, apart from the shit show of a start, we were quite comfortable in that game, but without ever looking like scoring. But it seems to be a little bit of a trend in how we're playing at the moment. So, Brian, do you think that is a reflection of Jack Ross's tactics?
Nah. I think, to be honest, yesterday was actually the first game, Hibs game this season I've not seen. But I don't think we're not going to threaten Keegan's entertainers, but I don't think we're playing turgid. I think we're probably far more solid than we've been. But I would never class as boring to watch.
Mhm.
In the same token as I wouldn't say I'm sliding off my seat. I think we've just been fine. To be honest, I think the last two defeats against Aberdeen and Hearts have went some way to making people forget about the start to the season that we've had.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably prompting a lot of the... We're now getting the questions that we were getting a while back where everything's wrong about Hibs, basically. Folk are now actively looking for things to have a whinge about, when it's not all that bad. I have had 2 shite results lately, but it's not all that bad. Let's not forget how far we have come, and the stats back that up.
And John, you're one of these people that Brian's talking about there. You've just kind of said earlier on that you've got no enthusiasm whatsoever for Hibs, and frankly, you hate them, which I thought was a little bit harsh.
I think that's my name.
It was on tape. Everybody heard it. So, what are you thinking about how we're playing at the moment? The style of play?
We're fine. Like, absolutely fine. Like, so I tuned in yesterday, and as I do, I'm looking at Twitter, and I'm looking at. I was watching the YouTube stream. The boy Semitron, who's been in contact with the show before, he sent me a link so I could watch it because I was. I tweeted because obviously Hibs have scored. Stevie Mallon scored a screamer by the sounds of it, and I've not seen it, so I want to see it. I get sent a link and I'm watching the game, and Hibs looked fine apart from that wee blip. And I say blip. Dundee Football Club, who are in the business of playing football and scoring goals, scored a goal. Like, I'm saying it's a blip. There was a momentary. There was a decent ball. It's going over the head of Dougie Tripod, and they've scored. But other than that, I thought Hibs looked fine. And I was looking at some of the comments and thinking, and actually it ties in with what Brian's saying. I feel like we're just going out of our... Hibs fans are going out of their way to try and pick holes in what Hibs are doing. Hibs are what? We're third in the league, maybe dropped down to fourth now after the game recently. Was it the tweet? Did we get beat by Aberdeen recently? Fuck, I can't remember.
We were going to discuss it last week, remember, and the Skype never worked.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
It was so long ago.
But I'm sure we're going to talk about it, about Drey Wright, and where people are picking out like the style of football and Jack Ross. I don't know, like it just, we're doing well, and we won 4-1. So people have said some of the criticisms that have been laid at Hibs' door is that we're not clinical enough when they didn't finish teams off, and we won 4-1 yesterday, and folks still aren't happy. What do you do with that?
It's an interesting thing, because I think had we been as clinical in the first half as we were in the last 15 minutes, that game could have been any score. We would absolutely... I mean, 4-1's a bit of a doing anyway, but it would have been a proper doing. It's just... this was the reason why I brought it up on the podcast. I thought it was worth exploring, that we seem to be having games like that just now. So Ross County was one, which finished 0-0, where we battered them, really. I think there was... We talked about it at the time, and the stats were something like 26 shots on goal. And no goals on the back of it. Hearts as well. So I will maintain, and people will disagree because ultimately we lost the game, but I will maintain we were a better team throughout that game. It swung in their favour a bit when they made their subs, but by and large I thought we were, again, comfortable in the match. I didn't think we were really under the cosh at any point. And the same goes against Aberdeen, but we're not getting the goals to really punish teams. And then it leaves us vulnerable for what happened last night, where Dundee all of a sudden are back in the game at 1 each. And it's only really that Jack Ross's subs at that point that accelerated us away from them and took us through to the next round.
So aside for the goal, it sounds like... When did Dundee score last night? We were saying about the sort of 65th minute or so, maybe even slightly later.
Go with that.
So we've conceded, we've made a change, we've scored 3 goals, and people still aren't happy.
Aye, well, that seems to be the crux of it. I was happy.
So there was time remaining in the game. There's been substitutions that the manager could have made. He's made them. We've won 4-1, and there are holes being picked in the way that Jack Ross wants to play football and the way that Hibs are playing football. Am I going out on an utterly rage limb here?
No, that's about the size of it. So
I think there's going to be games throughout the season where we're going to play the same way. Like, is it fair to say that we've been pretty consistent in our approach throughout the season to date?
Yeah, this is the point I'm making, though, John. That's what I'm talking about, though.
So there's going to be games where we get frustrated, where we get, where things just didn't work out. Like one of the comments I think I heard, because I was listening to the game on the radio before I got the link, was that Dundee were sitting in and trying to frustrate Hibs, and they were playing not dissimilarly to Aberdeen. I think one of the commentators had said that sometimes we're just going to come up against that. Like we're actually, I think that's probably a compliment towards Hibs that teams are doing that to us. And don't get me wrong, like there's going to be times where it works against us, but it goes against loads of teams.
Aye.
Like, I mean, is that not just football? Like, it's not. I don't think that's unique to Hibs. That's just football. Some you win, some you lose.
Aye, very profound. Aye. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I suppose that's what I wanted to talk about. Is it a concern that we're not putting teams away? And we did put Dundee away. This is the other thing to remember. Is folk were getting anxious about it, and probably because of the couple of games that have gone before, where we've not picked up the result that maybe the play deserved. And so at 1-0, you're knowing, and it's similar, like if you think back to Stubbs' time in the Championship, we would batter teams for 90 minutes and then no score and lose a goal right at the end. The semi-final against Falkirk, for example, where we had the bar, the game was played entirely in Falkirk's half, and they went through 1-0 to the final because they broke and they were clinical with their finish. And is that, I don't know if it's a psyche thing, if a team dominates the game or dominates the ball in the way that Hibs are doing at the moment, is there less urgency with making sure you're clinical with the finish because you know you're going to get another chance sooner. You feel that way that I didn't have to make this one count because I'm going to get another one in a few minutes' time. And so you become a bit more wasteful. I don't know. Like I don't know what's at the root of it because it's not a tactical thing. We're creating chances, but we're just not putting them away until we scored 3 at the end. So, with that caveat, we scored 4. This is the point. But I suppose I'm maybe reflecting on previous games and what might have been last night.
Who was it scored the final 3 last night? It was Gullan, Hallberg, and Nisbet, Curvey, Skinny Nisbet.
Mikey Stewart was desperate to give that his own goal as well last night, by the way.
I was surprised when I saw Nisbet's name afterwards because I think originally on the stream that I was watching it was credited as an own goal. What was I going to say? I kind of get what you're talking about with the psyche and whatnot, but it's not like Hibs are playing shit and we're not creating chances.
That's exactly it.
Last night watching the football, I think 3 goals came from similar movements involving Nisbet, Boyle, and a ball into the box that was tucked away. That was clinical. There are games where we just, it's maybe gone wide, the keeper saved it, whatever. And I've maybe made I've made the criticism before that the difference between Hibs scoring in games and drawing games or winning games is the fact that they're not clinical enough. But our league position and the fact that we've advanced in the League Cup suggests that we are clinical at least most of the time.
Aye. I don't disagree with you, John. If I'm honest with you, you make a good argument for it. I think it's just that sometimes the impression you get when you're watching is that you think we could. We don't always look comfortable. No, we always look comfortable. We don't always look certain of the win.
So I think we've talked about this as well. Like way back at the start, I talked about Horgan making a positive contribution to the Hibs team, and one of the things that might play in our favour is not having the support there, giving them a hard time, just having that general sort of like fear. I would hope, and I think I get the impression that the footballers are comfortable on the ball. and comfortable with the way that the game's going. Like, I think you said before there that Hibs, I think we were in agreement that Hibs have been playing the same way for the majority of the season. Like, there doesn't seem to be anything in terms of, like, I don't think I've seen any panic. So even when we go a goal down, for example, or even when we conceded last night, it wasn't like panic stations. Like, Hibs just continued to try and move the ball and score goals. It wasn't just, fuck, we've conceded, let's launch it, route one up to Nisbet. We just continued to play the same way and try to play to our strengths.
Aye, and it is working. Like you say, we progressed in the cup, or this cup anyway, and sitting kind of comfortably in the league. So, right, we'll move on to the next bit. Brian, our first goal came from Stevie Mallon. So I know you said you hadn't seen the game. Knowing that Stevie Mallon scored, what kind of goal do you reckon it was?
I saw that goal. Did see it, and I think it was Calvin Charlton.
Yeah.
That tweeted it. So I saw the full 1 minute and 40 seconds of possession that we had. Where we just worked the ball, worked it and worked it and worked it to get it to Stevie Mallon, and it was a trademark strike from him, and it was a trademark attempt at stopping a goal from Jack Hamilton, who I think he just takes to the pitch wearing oven gloves. I don't know what.
The foam hands for the gladiators.
It's ridiculous. Poppadom hands. It's just it was they were very, I was going to say very patient in possession, but there was a fair bit during that move where they were getting pressured, and that goes back to not panicking as well. The players were comfortable in taking it on. Even Darren McGregor went for a wee sortie up the park, and it was that's what Stevie Mallon does, doesn't he? I mean, I read a comment yesterday from someone saying that's why he should be in the team every single week, and it's not dissimilar. I can't really argue with it because I'm the one that says Scott Allen should have been in the team every single week because he's capable of that one moment that can slice open a defence, and as opposed, Stevie Mallon's attribute is anywhere from within 35, 30 yards. He's liable. He's percentages of hitting a shot like that are high. It's just other parts of his game that are frustrating. But no, it was a great move and a fabulous strike and a comical attempt at keeping it out from Jack Hamilton.
When we watched it a few times, and Josh obviously does goalie coaching, but now coaches goalies as well, and he was just shaking his head. It's like, I don't even know what he's trying to do there with Jack Hamilton's attempt at it. But
I mean, it was like the middle of the goals, and it wasn't as if it was an absolute thunder bastard that dipped at the last minute. I mean, it almost ended up in the middle of the net height-wise. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the keeper was doing. Was he in a ditch? Concrete boots on? But I don't know.
suppose his mind was elsewhere. Should have just having a wee moment to himself.
Possibly, aye.
I'm sure there was I think it was a German game when the goalie was away for a drink of water out his goals. And the ball, somebody just launched a shot and he was totally oblivious to it. He turned around and he's like, what the fuck's happened here? Goal!
Did you see the game recently where the goalkeeper has scored in the dying seconds and on his way back up the pitch, the other team have kicked off and launched the ball over his head? I think I don't know if he'd equalised in an important game, and then the opposition, seeing him off his line, have just pinged it over his head. It's never even
splendid.
Seen it. Aye.
That's got everything, that, because you always love a goalie scoring. Like, that's one of the best things that can happen in football. And then also what's good to happen is somebody get too big for their boots and then instantly get shot down for it.
Absolutely.
So you can imagine the goalie fucking fools himself and then just going, fuck. It was all for nothing. Stevie Mallon, I thought, John, was good last night overall. Like, I know, Brian, you referenced, and we've talked about Stevie Mallon a lot on this podcast, that sometimes he doesn't influence games as much as perhaps you'd want him to. But I thought last night, and actually the last few times I've seen Stevie Mallon play, he's been one of our best players. I thought he's staked a good claim to stay in the team. What do you think, John?
Aye, definitely. I remember back when the transfer window was closing and there was a wee rumour going about that Hibs were going to go for Alan Campbell at Motherwell, cash plus Stevie Mallon, and I was telling my adopted dad, who's younger than me, and he was horrified. He said, "No, you want someone like Stevie Mallon in the squad. You want him playing for set pieces, free kicks, shots in and around the box." He's done well. It's that conundrum that I think Brian referred to there, where if you can get Stevie Mallon playing, and by the way, I think he had a really good partnership in midfield going on last night with Joe Newell. So it seems like if he's not going to start, he's going to slot into the team quite nicely, as he did last night. And it's a useful asset to have, isn't it?
I just can't look at his hair.
It's changed. I think he's maybe had like a wee change. I don't know if he's maybe grown a lockdown band or something. There's been a wee home job or what, but
it's like he's wearing a black beret.
Lego
head.
Just like popped it on.
Just takes it off at night and just puts it on the bedside cabinet.
Lego hair and those perfect eyebrows.
Oh, they are sexy.
Would you start Mallon against Celtic? Because I'm presuming that the likes of Gogic will be back in the team. I'm not sure exactly who Mallon replaced last night for the regular starting 11. But would you start McGuinness?
Aye, we came in for McGuinness, or not sure who played the week before against Aberdeen. I probably would. I think his form's been good, and I think if I was Jack Ross, I'd be looking at which players are in form, and Mallon has staked a good claim to be in the starting 11. I also think Celtic's goalkeepers are a bit suspect, so I think there's a good opportunity. We saw what happened with Boric. I mean, Boric had a few howlers, and he was a much better goalie than the two that they've got at the moment. So
yeah, I was thinking just when we were talking about it there about the Mallon's goal and the movement, the number of passes around the pitch and the amount of movement that was going on. I think if you watch just like 3-4 passes before the goal, it was almost like a procession of players just moving and dropping into positions, waiting for the pass to come to them, and then the ball was played into Mallon. He's taken a brilliant first touch, and I think he's got that space because other players have worked for it for him.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can do similar against Celtic, then just let Stevie Mallon knuckle puck it, if any of us have seen the Mighty Ducks, for 25 yards, and hopefully we can catch the keeper sleeping again.
Aye. Right, subs. We made the subs after we went 1-1. Gullan came on along with Hallberg, and the other sub was a young laddie.
Shanley, was it?
No, it wasn't Shanley that came on. It was 2 seconds.
Shanley?
No, I'm sure it wasn't. This is terrible. We should have done the. It just totally went out of my mind. I had it written down earlier. It was a young laddie making his debut. 2 seconds.
I'm trying to find it.
The subs, I thought, kind of turned the game back in our favour again. The 3 goals that we got were all kind of fairly similar. Again, good play, ball getting worked out wide and then crossed low into the box. What would you say was the difference? Like, how did we end up turning those ones into goals and not the ones that were happening earlier, John?
Don't know. Honestly, don't know. It's that funny thing because I don't know whether Hibs had spotted a weakness or what, but we've had definitely 2 out of the final 3 goals have come down that right-hand side, and Nisbet and Boyle have been involved. Gullan's had that great run off the shoulder of the defender. Hallberg's just been in the right place at the right time and stuck a foot out. Nisbet, I think, that was the run for Jamie Murphy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So unless we've spotted something that we hadn't seen for the previous 60, 70 minutes where we thought, right, let's have a go at their fullbacks. I don't know. It's just, I don't know how to explain that.
I felt there was a bit more desire to get into the box and get on the end of them. I mean, looking at Nisbet's run for the first one's terrific, and like saying Mikey should try to credit it as our own goal. I'm not sure whether Nisbet got the touch or not, but the run's fantastic. I mean, he makes it very easy for Murphy to pick him out. And you see with Gullan, Gullan's movement off the ball to get into a space where he can score that goal was fantastic. And Hallberg as well just picked up a good position in the box. And I think they just showed that wee bit more urgency to get the goals by that point. It was Stephen Bradley came on for Martin Boyle. So sorry, Stephen, for forgetting your name. That's a black mark on us. Could edit that out, but I'm not going to go that far. We'll just hold our hands up.
We're not known for research, so.
No. On the subject of Jamie Gullan, so he's got a couple of goals in kind of cameo roles. Semitron emailed in. Semitron sounds like a mildly aroused transformer, doesn't he?
Aye. One of my favourites.
Semitron said, should Jamie Gullan get more minutes on the park? Brian, what do you think?
Possibly. I know he's young, and you need to give players time, and of course you do. But I don't think he's knocking down the door to be starting. Put it that way. And that again is, be completely with a caveat. He is young. He is only going to get better. And I think of the young strikers we've churned out over the last 20 years, he's closer to O'Connor and Reardon and Fletcher than he is to Damon Gray and Curtis Byrne and whatever. And I know one of the guys on Hibs Net, I think it's Billy Viz, has been raving about him for a couple of years. I don't think he's shown enough to Chris Lodge, Doidge or Nisbet, but maybe just when it's games that we're comfortable in, where we've got the sort of 2-3 goal advantage, or even a game like yesterday where, by the sounds of it, Dundee have equalised and we maybe just need that little, just somebody like him just to say, right, now's your chance, go and make a difference. And it's up to the young lad to take that chance, which by all accounts yesterday has. I mean, I actually saw his goal and it was a fabulous run off the ball where it was a complete change of direction. It was almost, he was kind of running in a sense aimlessly towards the box, and then it was just like that.
Yeah.
And he was off. He just started heading towards the near post. Great ball into spot him, and just a great finish. Open up the foot straight for the keeper. So I'd be inclined to give him a chance when we are comfortable, or when we do need someone to make a change. But it's up to him to take the opportunity. As hard as it is to quickly get up to the speed with the rest of the game when you're coming off the bench, but doing what he's done yesterday, by all accounts, and from what I've read, he was pretty much a catalyst for us to go on and win by that margin.
He made an impact when he came on against Aberdeen. I think he got our one and only shot on target that game as well. John, if you were...
I can't tell you.
It was shite. Don't worry about it. John, if you were going to start Gullan, whose place are you giving him?
It's maybe one of 3 or 4. Jamie Murphy had that really good run where he set up Nisbet's goal yesterday, but I think he can blow a wee bit hot and cold throughout the game. Drey Wright's got his critics. I think I'm being diplomatic in saying. You've got Kyle McGuinness in there, who's been a wee bit indifferent since he started, and Martin Boyle's had his critics as well. So I think there's probably... It's strange because I remember when he was brought back for Eighth Rovers, and I thought, right, we brought him back because we're going to get him in the squad, we're going to get him, playing up front. But I don't think, from what I've read, that that's his natural position. So if it might be that for him to get more game time, he maybe needs to do what the likes of Paul Hanlon or Lewis Stevenson's done throughout their careers, where it's just kind of fill in for a bit before they can make a position their own. I like Gullan's movement yesterday, like he could be one of those like sort of late arrivers into the box that we've missed for a wee while for midfield. So I suppose in summary, he's got opportunity to challenge other guys there, like guys like, like I say, Jamie Murphy, Kyle McGuinness, whoever it is across the midfield. I think they need to be on their toes, because similar to Stevie Mallon, where he's come on, or he started the last couple of games in the cup games, what have you. When he's put a good performance, he's put himself in with a shout at starting. There's no reason why Jamie Gullan can't do the same.
Yeah, and he's nicknamed the Hammer as well. You always want a player called the Hammer in your team.
Or I was going to say something else, but I'm not going to.
No.
Aye.
You sure? Listen, if you're going to say something, this is the podcast to do it, John.
I think one of the first times I saw Jamie Gullan playing was last year or the year before, when Hibs played Linlithgow in a pre-season friendly, and someone had mentioned that his nickname was the Hammer. So, being childish and my mates being childish, we thought it was in reference to his.
Oh, don't. We've just had to clarify. I regret inviting you to say that now, John.
I tried to give it out.
Aye, we'll leave that there. And I'm sure his pen that he has at home that you were going to talk about for writing is fine. Right, next question or next point was for Gav Gilly. Define a comfortable victory. So I guess we kind of talked about that. Would you have said last night was comfortable in all seriousness, John?
Context. So take context into account. Hibs have won 4-1 last night, and 3 goals are coming at in the last 15 minutes. It was the Betfred Cup, where our qualification for the group had already been confirmed. All we were playing for was seeding for the next round, I think, and I think that's what got us the home tie against Dundee, bizarrely. It was 4-1. Of course it was comfortable. Like, what the
right.
I don't understand how this is a question.
Fair enough. Right. John McEwen. So when's the right time to make a substitution? Thought we could have made changes earlier as the game was drifting. So is that a fair point, Brian? Do you wait till you can see the goal, or would you rather make the change beforehand?
I don't know. John?
John?
Oh shit! I don't know. Like, so if you watch the Scotland game on Friday night, Scotland are 1-0 up. We make a couple of subs with 5-10 minutes to go. Serbia equalise, and Steve Clark is lampooned for making those 3 subs. What the fuck are you doing? Those are our 3. Those are the 3 guys that you still want on the pitch. I don't think that Steve Clark necessarily made a bad substitution, because Scotland had been battering Serbia for the previous 80 minutes. Those guys were probably shattered, and Steve Clark was probably looking to kind of close the game out a wee bit. Totally understandable. It just so happened that Serbia scored, and it looked like it was a shit move.
It was a shit move. We got away with it, but it was a shit move.
Anything that involves bringing on Ollie McBurney is a shit move.
Yeah, well. I don't know, like, you've probably seen examples where managers have brought a player on, and
Definitely have seen that. Yep.
You'll have seen examples where managers have made a substitution and then they've substituted the substitution. Maybe football fans just need to go sit back and say, "Ken, well, I'm not the fucking manager. Like, there's nothing I can do here. I just need to let them do the job that they're paid for."
Yep. Aye, that's fair enough. Best substitution?
It's got to be Hendo.
Got to be kind of think of a sub that's made a bigger impact.
Teddy Faces. Mr. the Pombeers.
A cucumber instead of an aubergine.
Aye. It tastes the exact same and it's cheaper.
Right, SDG, he says, does 4-4-2 leave us too light in the middle of the park, and against Celtic would we be better matching up and going 3-5-2?
Yes.
So we are not known for our formation chat on this podcast because, as John rightly pointed out, we're not managers and we're self-styled 3 fucking idiots, aren't we, really, when it comes to talking about football. 4-4-2, has its advantages, but obviously it comes down to how well you play in the day. A system will take you so far, but really, if you play well, a shite formation can win a game if you play well.
Yeah, but that said, I think 5 across midfield against Celtic is not a bad move. And that is playing 5 in midfield, then I think allows Stevie Mallon to start on Saturday. I don't think Stevie Mallon as part of a midfield 2 against Celtic is a good idea.
No, I would agree with that as well.
Me too. I think that's a pretty astute observation, Brian.
Well, you know me, I'm known for my cutting edge insight.
Right, and this is again another interesting question or topic that was put to us was from Andrew Brown. He said, "Is sentiment holding the team back? It's clear that there's not enough behind the first 11. Do we need to clear out some big earners to allow us to progress? Hate to say it, but Sir David Gray is not going to contribute on the park now." The reason that's interesting because there was a conversation on Twitter last night with I think it's somebody replying to Kenny Miller who had tweeted about the impact of Sir David Gray and Darren McGregor on just having them around the club, and it's a massive thing. Like for me, I think you want to have players who are deep rooted in the club. Do you know that, like your Stevenson, Hanlon, McGregor, Gray, for example, especially if they're part of a successful team. And you know, you say that they got promoted, they did well in Europe, they won the Scottish Cup, got to the League Cup final. They've had, I think they all have quite decent derby records now. So all the kind of points that you would want them to get. So obviously they've got a relegation against a couple of them, but that aside, if you, I think the argument was if you got rid of those players and used that money to bring in new players, you could probably influence the first team more. But I would argue probably you get more value overall for your money in keeping those players because it sets the tone at the club. And it means you can integrate new players into the club much better. And you can create, or you have much more of an opportunity to create other players who will have similar kind of legacies. That's my thoughts on it.
Totally agree. But look at how many comments did you hear after Hearts beat us that they've got people installed at their club that ram it home to that starting 11 about how much it's important, how important it is to beat Hibs and whatever else. So, not just the fact that it Hearts, but having Darren McGregor and David Gray there are a great benefit to, like you say, integrating players into the club. They're good, well-rounded human beings as well. They're the type of people you want around your club. I dare say they're not on thousands and thousands per week either. I think in terms of the sentiment thing, it would only be wrong if Darren McGregor and David Gray and Lewis Stevenson were still in our back four. And I say that as I'm a huge fan of Darren McGregor. I honestly think one of the best centre-backs we've had in years. David Gray needs no other introduction. I think if we were still persistent with that same back four of those three in Hanlon, then yeah, I could say the sentiment's gone down. In fact, I did say it on a podcast months ago. Yeah. I think it was time to change the old guard. But no, having those two around the club, and Stevenson as well, although he figures more in the starting 11 than the other two. I think having them around the club, that can never ever be a bad thing in my eyes.
Oh, you, John, what are your thoughts on it?
I don't think sentiment's holding us back as much as, although I don't think sentiment's holding us back, but I do wonder if there's maybe something in the question that's being asked, because like we talked about the squad before and the size of it. I think we've got something like 24 registered first team players. And included within that are guys like David Gray and Darren McGregor. And I think one of the things that's happened in the last maybe 12 months or so, maybe even since Jack Ross came in and we've had Jason Naismith playing and we've signed Paul McGinn, is actually we've probably seen the transition of David Gray out of the team. I don't think I'd be going too far out on a limb here to say that he's no longer a first team player. Him or Darren McGregor, they are just backups for situations like Betfred Cup, that kind of thing.
Yep.
But I don't think that there's any sentiment there. If there was any sentiment, I think David Gray would still be playing. But actually, what we've done is we've got Paul McGinnon. Darren McGregor has been kind of moved to the side, if you like, and Ryan Porteous has been playing. And for whatever reason, Porteous wasn't playing last night, and Darren McGregor was playing. But
international duty, John.
Was it?
Yeah.
See, it shows you how much attention I pay to Scotland. So no, I don't think sentiment's holding us back. And I do think you'll gradually see a transition of Gray and McGregor just moving on to, kind of full-time coaching duties, if you like, kind of, backroom staff. And you won't see them registered as players. But the squad as it is and the world that we're living in just now, and, football's still going on. We're still having to fulfil a full fixture, a full calendar of fixtures. You're going to need those guys to come in, because otherwise you're just risking your established first teamers injury, burnout, suspension, whatever it happens to be. So I think there's a place for those guys in the squad at the moment, and hopefully with this model that Hibs are trying to build with, keeping these established players that have proven their worth, if you like, to the club and to the fans, that we continue that model of blooding the younger players, the likes of Porteous coming through, the likes of Dougie Tripod, etc., etc. I think that's where we are and where we're going.
Aye. Well, I think it's a good thing. I think they're well worth the money, whatever it is that they're getting. I think they're well worth it. What they bring to the club overall can't really be understated. Okay, Matt. Reedy said, "How sexy is Hallberg?" Does really need discussed, does it?
I don't like his hair.
You don't like it? That's a controversial opinion. John,
don't you like about it?
More he could be doing with it. I think there's more that he could be doing with it. But then I say that as a man who is my forehead's getting bigger as the months go by. My daughter actually, my 3-year-old daughter, was playing with my hair on Saturday, and she was kind of dissecting my modern comb over, and once she sort of lifted up a bit and just saw the scalp, she remarked the words that I'll probably take to my grave: "Daddy, your hair is broken." So that went through me like a fucking knife. But no, I think I look at him and I think there's so much more you could be doing with that Milker. It's just laziness. It's almost kind of like a reflection of him as a footballer. I think there's more in there. He's just not doing it. So maybe some kind of, I don't know, it's like Samson with Puma Kings. The hair is a strength. Once he gets a decent shed, we'll maybe see the real Milker Hallberg threatening the starting lineup. That's it. I fucking cracked it. It's barman.
Aye, sorted. Right. So I suppose what we're looking for is a barber that listens to the podcast to go and do the honours and just volunteer themselves.
And also one that we can promote alongside Alan's Bakery on Wrestle Rig Road.
Yep. Right, Leeshay. So, John, you mentioned this topic earlier on. He said, "Is my hatred of Drey Wright irrational, or is he genuinely pish?" So definitely it's irrational to hate anybody, especially anybody in a Hibs jersey, because you should be supporting them. Right? That's the first thing. I know he's kind of that question is tongue in cheek anyway. So, Drey Wright, we had a wee bit of a conversation about him on the WhatsApp group as well. Where do we start with Drey Wright then? So, John, tell us your thoughts on Drey Wright.
I think he's shown glimpses of what he's capable of. And his start to the season has been interrupted by injury. And I think there's been games where Hibs in general haven't performed well, where he's he's been the sort of focal point for the Boo Boys, if you like. And I was going to bring this up and ask why it is that amongst the Hibs support we have to have a Boo Boy, like the guy that needs to be the focal point of the rage, the frustration, or the anger, as a game's being played or following the final whistle.
Every club
Drey Wright seems to be that guy.
What about you, Brian? What are your thoughts on him?
I'll be honest, he does nothing for me. Nothing. Not even his goal against Rangers. He does nothing for me. But Tommy Wright said he was pretty much one of the best players he's ever worked with. And he obviously saw him day in, day out on the training pitch. But then Alan O'Brien was apparently an absolute fucking world beater in training. Yeah, Saturday, 3 p.m, he didn't show it. So, Tommy Wright knows more about football than me, marginally.
He's not often wrong, is he?
Aye. So, I'm inclined to suggest there is a footballer in there, and being a Hibs fan, I sincerely hope there is a footballer in there. I know it was somebody we targeted in the summer and really wanted. So, you want to put your faith in the recruitment team and everything else. But if I'm being brutally honest, I have seen hee-haw in a hipster to suggest that he is going to be the type of player, performer that we need to finish in the top 3 or 4.
2 words. Joe Newell.
Aye.
It's a fair point. You say the same about Doidge as well, John.
Christian
No.
Doidge.
I'm not having Doidge with against me. I knew he was brilliant.
Well, we defended him for the word goal, didn't we? But no, everybody did. I think with Wright, if I was Jack Ross, I would be looking at the reasons why I signed him and what he brought to the St Johnstone team that made him stand out enough that I thought, right, I'm going to make him a key target for this season. And then I'd look and see whether the system that I was playing was allowing him to be that player. I'd figure that out first, because if the system's not doing him any favours, then it doesn't really matter how good he is. We're not going to see the best of him unless he really, really kind of adapts and develops into the role that Jack Ross has asked him to play. So there's maybe a tweak. He's maybe just not quite found, I think, how he fits into this Hibs team yet, what exactly he's needing to do. Or there's also, I think, that thing about players go to a bigger club, right? And I don't want to sound arrogant, but we're definitely a step up from St Johnstone. And I think there's maybe that wee bit of self-doubt. Some players will have it, they think, right, they just do the safe thing and no really kind of go and like express myself the way that I would have done at St Johnstone when I was, clearly one of the better players there. Knew the place had been settled into the club for a wee bit, so could perform, knew what my job was. And maybe just that wee bit of reluctance to really kind of have to let the reins go, and just go for it. So it's maybe going to be one of these players that grows into the club as well.
Aye, I think these are the guys that there's going to be guys that come to Hibs, like Kevin Nisbet, for example, who has come to Hibs and he's just immediately started scoring goals, and he looks like he's demonstrating all the reasons why Jack Ross and Hibs signed him in the first place. Drey Wright hasn't done that yet, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's pished. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It's just, and the thing is as well, actually, like the way that Hibs have started, the way that the squad is, I don't think that Drey Wright is a natural. I don't think he's a starter at the moment. I think he's more of a backup player. I don't think he's pushing Jamie Murphy out the side. I think Jamie Murphy is your starting player in that position. I think on the other side, Martin Boyle is the starting player in that position.
Yeah.
But I don't want Hibs fans. I don't want to see a situation where the guy that comes in, we just immediately write him off. Oh, he's fucking pish. He's the guy that needs the encouragement the most. He's the guy that needs the backing the most.
You're right.
And hopefully on the back of it we get another sort of we unearth another gem like we did with Joe Newell, and we see similar from like Christian Doidge as well. Albeit Brian saw what Christian Doidge had to offer before anyone else did.
Right, so Dave Armstrong asked about substitutions' impact on the game at 1-1, but I think we've covered that. Coonster, did the Fox come east a dodgy pie or to look at Coonster's Doug's cutout? Did you see the Fox on the pitch? Do you know about anything about this, Brian?
I've seen pictures of it, yeah. I think he showed a training top, didn't he?
I thought it was just what it was there for a wee souvenir. I'll have it up in a frame now. Sitting behind him, we'll be doing a wee Fox podcast somewhere.
Aye.
With a framed strip in the background, all chuffed with itself.
Talking about Dylan Barnes' training top.
Aye. Went back to get it signed. Have you seen Coonster's Doug's cutout at the ground?
I hope that's not a euphemism.
No, don't think so.
No, I've not seen it, no.
I've seen enough of the Doug on Twitter to know what it looks like. It's a good looking Doug, to be fair.
Well, we'll leave that there, John. We've already got enough trouble talking about things.
One sick man, John.
Right, so probably done the Dundee game to death there. Looking ahead to Celtic on Saturday. Interesting one, it's no one Sky Sports says no often you get like one of the Old Firm or the new Old Firm or whatever the fuck people call them now.
Those
coming
cunts.
to the road and it's aye, and it's no on the telly. So we'll get it as season ticket holders, obviously. But how do you see that going, Brian?
I won't see it at all because I'm not a season ticket holder.
Sure, we'll find a way for you to see it.
Yes, I think we will. Oh, go on, Brian. Give another fucking horrendous prediction. Close my eyes. Think Hibs. Wow. Hibs are going to win on Saturday. There you go. There you have it. Hibs are going to win on Saturday.
I fancy us as well. To be fair, sometimes like early in the week, especially, I get a wee feeling for games and I think, I can see us doing it, and then that gradually erodes as it gets closer to the game. But so by the time we kick off, I'm thinking, fuck, this isn't going to be fun. But at the moment, I don't think Celtic have looked particularly good this season. And ironically, the best game I think came against us. Yep. I don't think their confidence is as high as it has been. I think they've also got a wee bit of this pressure of the 10 in a row. And they've not got a huge support roaring them on. So I think we're obviously we didn't have the big support roaring us on either, but I think it gives us a good shout. What about you, John?
I think I've not feared playing Celtic for some time now, and probably the same. I would say the same about playing Rangers. Celtic, for all the reasons that you just mentioned, Matty, Celtic have had a slightly sticky start to the season. I think when they drew against Aberdeen, did Aberdeen score late on, or did Celtic score late on to equalise? I can't remember.
Aberdeen scored right at the death. They got a penalty. Right, they were 3-2 down, got a penalty.
Aye, but I remember reading something that said it was something like 7 years or something, maybe even longer, since Celtic had lost back-to-back games. And then they went, I think they won a cup game, and then they got fucked out of, they got battered in Europe, and here we are. So I don't fear them. I don't see that there's any reason why we couldn't beat them. Or certainly, I'd be looking for a better result than we got at Celtic Park. For no other reason than, like I say, I don't fear them. And actually, we tend to take the game to them. The game that we had at Celtic Park, I think we had a go, and we just got picked off.
Yeah.
So if we get chances like we did against Dundee, who knows? We might have a comfortable victory.
A comfortable win. Hope it is. I will be worried that Griffiths seems to be kind of back up to full fitness now. Like I can see him doing some damage. I all know how good Griffiths is.
Is he back in the starting lineup, or I don't know? Like, I know he was in the Scotland setup, but
he's definitely been featuring more. I don't know if he's been started. I don't have to say I don't pay that much attention to Celtic. As I don't really pay any attention to any team other than the Hibs. So I don't know. I know he has been playing, and he scored against Aberdeen, didn't he? A cracking goal.
Aye, he did.
And he's got that in his locker. He just needs to be half chance, and Celtic will definitely get a half chance against us. They've done Dundee creating chances against us, and Celtic certainly will.
I think something that Hibs could perhaps take advantage of is the amount of pressure that Celtic are under now. Neil Lennon, I don't think, is a favourite amongst the Celtic support. They are, I think, what was it Craig says about arseholes? Is it 50 pence, 20 pence?
50p, 5p, whatever.
50p, 5p, in terms of their 10 in a row prospect. So, fuck it, let's turn up the pressure a wee bit on them. Let's go at them.
Talk about the arseholes. One of the best descriptions of an arsehole I have ever heard is a tea towel holder.
You know, they're twitching like a rabbit's nose as well, eh?
Aye.
A tea towel holder.
Well, of course, there's the old trusty balloon knot, isn't it? Fucking just magnificent, though. Good boy.
Right, I think that's us about done for the night, guys. Thanks everybody that sent in a topic for us to discuss. It was interesting. Some really good ones in there, so keep them coming after games. And we'll give it our best shot to try and talk our way through them. John, Brian, thanks for your time tonight. We'll be back on Thursday for not long bangers. That's this one, short bangers. So get your questions in for that. And thanks for listening.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.